So here we are, Geordie Journos back at St James's Park ahead of that Champions League clash against Borussia Dortmund tomorrow night. If you watched our previous video ahead of that Paris Saint-Germain game, you recognise this room. Our favourite, our new favourite room. We're not
it's the only room we're allowed in, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dortmund players out training at the moment, so we're allowed 15 minutes and then go away.
Yeah, the stewards usually come on you quite strong, giving you the eyes, telling you to get out. So we did try to record outside, but we had to come inside. But anyway, yes, tonight we spoke to Eddie Howe and Sean Longstaff on the Newcastle United side. I mean, Dom, I'll just come straight to you. We'll start with Eddie Howe in terms of his press comments. What were sort of the main takeaways for you? I suppose the first starting point would probably be Sandro Tonali.
Yeah, basically until a verdict has been reached regarding Sandro Tonali, Eddie Howe will be asked about him and his involvement. And probably even after a verdict has been reached, he'll continue to be asked about him. But yeah, big takeaway from that is Newcastle's stance, Eddie Howe's stance, is that Sandro Tonali will continue to be involved and continue to train with Newcastle until the club are told otherwise. Reports from Italy are that a verdict is pending, it's close to being agreed, and the potential ban for alleged illegal betting offences against Sandro Tonali is reported, keyword being reported, not reached yet, could be 10 to 12 months. So that would rule him out for, well, the rest of the season, the rest of his first season at the club, and then some more. So yeah, potential major blow for Newcastle, but more on that when it comes, because for the time being, Newcastle's plan is to keep playing Sandro Tonali, and unless a verdict comes before tomorrow night's game or Wednesday night's game, depending on when you're watching this, against Borussia Dortmund, Sandro Tonali will be involved. And I thought another interesting sort of development that came today, Eddie Howe spoke about it in his previous press conference, was Joe Willock back in training. Wednesday night's game may come a little bit too soon for him, but I thought that was a big boost for Newcastle.
Yeah, I think everyone's seen the videos earlier when the broadcast was out into the training ground. Joe Willock involved in full training. Massive boost. It's not confirmed if he will be involved tomorrow night. It might come a little bit too soon for him, but see, he's back in full training and is very close to being back with a team, which is really big news if you involve the sort of the potential Sandro Tonali outcome. But we know he also spoke to Sean Longstaff as well, and he mentioned what a big boost it is to have Joe Willock back, and a total agreement. Being a big miss for the club, brings a lot of different attributes to that midfield. So yeah, getting closer, really promising signs with him. I think Sean Longstaff, Dom spoke about Joe Willock as well when he spoke to the media before.
Yeah, he was really excited about working with Joe Willock again. He said Newcastle play the best football with Joe Willock in the side. The way Sean Longstaff said, Joe Willock does stuff that no other player can do at Newcastle. The way he carries the ball, the way he drifts inside and links up with whoever it is on the left wing. It'll be probably Anthony Gordon or Joe Linton, as it was for a period last season. And yeah, it's hard to disagree, although Newcastle are on a very good run of form at the moment, as good a run as they've probably been on under Eddie Howe. But if you look back to last season, Newcastle's best run of form towards the back end of last season was with Joe Willock on that left of the midfield. 5 months out is a long time, particularly when he's had more than one injury over those 5 months as well. But Sean Longstaff did say that he's training as if he's never been away, so that's encouraging. And the way Sean Longstaff spoke about Joe Willock, might be reading a bit too much into this or getting a bit far ahead of myself. He was speaking as if Joe Willock is certainly in contention, if not for tomorrow night, certainly the weekend or the very near future, because he was like, I'm really looking forward to playing with Joe Willock again and things like that. So yeah, encouraging. And Sean Longstaff was asked also about England. He's obviously in good form. He scored his last 2 games here for Newcastle at St James's Park. Obviously last time out in the Champions League against PSG, and then at the weekend against Crystal Palace. So he's in great form. And England was on the agenda as well for Sean Longstaff.
Yeah, he was asked a few times, and Sean, being the lad that he is, very honest, very engaging when he speaks to the media. I thought he'd give a little bit more on England, but he sort of, I wouldn't say he swerved the question, but he didn't go into detail on it really. One of the questions I asked him is, are you playing your best football in your career currently? And again, he didn't sort of admit that, but he spoke about sort of, he's the impact he's having on this team, which I think, you see the impact he makes for Newcastle. He could easily make an impact on that England midfield. So I think for Sean Longstaff, talk will continue if England, if he continues in this form, and that's all he can do. Continue to perform well in this Newcastle team, and I'm sure an England call will just be around the corner. Maybe possibly next summer. I think it could be a last tournament for a lot of England midfielders, Jordan Henderson being the main one. And you look at someone like Sean Longstaff who really could step into that midfield. You can't do anything more than playing this Newcastle team is a top team. They're playing in Europe, playing the Premier League, playing really well in both competitions. So can't really do much more than that. So the player himself didn't say too much on it, but that's my 2 pence. I think he should be in the England squad. I'm trying to think next point to
I just
move
thought on Sean Longstaff in general, he was asked about Sandro Tonali, and he said he's a player who he watched play at AC Milan with his brother Matty, and said he was a player he really admired, and he almost couldn't believe he was now a teammate with him. He spoke a glowing character reference for Tonali. He said they're good friends, and couldn't have asked for a sort of better person to have joined the club. And it's probably telling. He also said that when Tonali did arrive, he sort of thought, "Ooh, what does this mean for me and my place in the team?" Because he cemented his place in the starting lineup last season, and with Tonali's arrival, you probably view Tonali as a Longstaff upgrade. I know we've previously said about that on the Geordie Journos, but the biggest compliment you can pay to Sean Longstaff really is with Tonali potentially facing a lengthy ban. You can sort of go, well, Sean Longstaff is more than capable of filling that role, and he has filled that role and has made Newcastle a better team for it over the past couple of months as well. So I think Sean Longstaff deserves all the plaudits he's getting, and his eye for goal. He's shown this season as well, his best scoring season, or joint best scoring season so far in just 9 games that he's played as well. So in terms of, we'll go back to Eddie Howe. Jordan, what did you ask Eddie Howe about?
What to ask Eddie Howe about? Yes, I had to remember that. Alexander Isak, obviously a player that was previously of Borussia Dortmund, got a big move there when he's just 17 years old. Unfortunately, didn't work out for him. Went to Real Sociedad. Obviously, played well there to earn only a £60 million move to Newcastle. So I asked Eddie Howe if Isak had a point to prove, and he's told me to ask Isak. So Alexandra, if you're out there, please come and say as I've got a question to ask you. But he spoke about Isak, how he's getting back to full fitness. Really delighted with his contribution to Newcastle so far. And the back of that as well, I asked if it gets any easier to pick between Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak, 2 top class strikers, probably the best 2 strikers in the Premier League in terms of options. And Eddie Howe mentioned about it's really good that they've got these extra games because it makes it easier to pick them. 2 games a week at the moment. It's been relentless since after August, and it's just easier to rotate the 2. So 2 really top class options there. What about you, Don? Your questions?
Well, if you could probably cherry pick the 2 worst questions Eddie Howe got asked, it was probably both from me. I just asked about the B-list squad, obviously with Lewis Miley out ill. I just asked, was there any other chance of a recall for any young players, or a call-up for any young players, as we saw with Lewis Miley, Aiden Harris in the AC Milan game? Eddie Howe just said no, which is probably a good sign, because it means the injury situation, what Eddie Howe explained, where Sven Botman's out, Harvey Barnes is obviously out, and then there's the players not part of the squad. And he said, he's not considering calling up any young lads, so it's probably a good sign, like I say. And then asked, player not involved in the squad, Eddie Howe loves talking about them though, Matt Ritchie. I just said, what role is he playing? Because you look at the training, Matt Ritchie is front and centre despite not being in the squad. He can't play tomorrow night. And Eddie Howe just explained how important a role Matt Ritchie's played, as he has countless times before. Just speaking about how Matt Ritchie trains as if he's going to play every week, and he's a role model to the rest of his squad. So yeah, that was pretty much it in terms of Eddie Howe.
We need to go on your question now. Your mind is what you asked Sean Longstaff, because it was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, well, big story regarding Sean Longstaff that we failed to address for obvious reasons, as I'm sure you know. Sean Longstaff requested to take the entirety of November off to go travelling with Matty Longstaff. Any Newcastle fan, any sane person who knows anything about football will have taken this as it was intended, in jest. But obviously, Big Frank works in mysterious ways, and yeah, apparently people started to believe it. So yeah, I just asked, I even said to Sean, I said, it's a daft question, but would you like to address those rumours? And Sean, he said he was a bit gutted. Eddie Howe didn't give him the month off, sarcastic response, but then he said, yeah, it's also scary that someone can just make up something, literally, off the top of their head. It also sounds completely made up, yet people still choose to believe it. It's a weird sort of world we're living in, and ourselves in the media, you have to fact check everything. And yeah, Big Frank, he's a reliable source, isn't he, Joe?
He is, yes. He certainly brings entertainment to my Twitter timeline anyway. He's been banned a few times, hasn't he, for changing his name, pretending to be someone he's not. But yeah, all Newcastle fans know, usually if you see something on Twitter, you automatically assume it's Big Frank Chipper. But obviously people outside of the Newcastle United fan base fell for it. And it was a funny thing to see play out, and I thought, Dom, your question was really, really important. Probably, I would say it was probably the question of the whole press conference.
Yeah, it needed to be asked. It did. I think so.
Anyway, shall we finish on a little preview ahead of tomorrow's game? Eddie Howe called it a pivotal game in the group.
It is.
It is, because if Newcastle win tomorrow, go up to 7 points. Look, you get 7 points, you put yourself in a great position to get out of the group, but you also put yourself in a really strong position, almost guarantee third place in the group as well. But if they win tomorrow, Dom, they've got a hell of a chance of actually getting out of this group ahead of 2 tough away games.
Yeah. I think if you win tomorrow night, it would almost be a disappointment to come third in the group. But yeah, I think we've always spoke about this group of death, as you call it, and Newcastle have had such a good start to it that if you win your home games and you can just pick up results away, whether be the odd win, draw like we saw at Milan, you probably have a good chance of getting out the group. But yeah, it is very tight. If Dortmund beat Newcastle on Wednesday, they go level on points with them, and Dortmund are currently bottom of the group. So it is so tight. It's just, you need to be winning your home games really, and it sets up a trip to Dortmund next month where you're looking, if we get something here, we've got 1 foot in the next round, which I think anyone would have absolutely taken when we were here at St James's Park when the draw was made, and the initial sort of thought was, bloody hell, this is a tough group, but what a group to be in, and if Newcastle can get out of it, how brilliant would that be? And I think it's interesting that Newcastle's best run of form this season has come when they've been in the Champions League and playing those 3 game a week hectic schedule, and they're getting the results as well. And what better result to go into Wednesday night's game, having beaten Paris Saint-Germain 4-1 last time out in the Champions League, and then 4-0 against Palace at the weekend.
Yep. So we'll see you at St James's Park tomorrow, as I will be joined by Liam. I suppose because he's not here, I'll go through the T's and C's that he usually does. So yeah, if you like what we do, please like, share and subscribe. And as I say, we'll see you tomorrow.